Well, hey YouTube, it's Elvis Ammo here. Hey, today I've done a little bit of reverse engineering and reconstruction of this Syntech bullet, and I did a video on showing you the Syntech bullet, and I decided, I wanted to know a lot more about this. Federal Premium has put out this Syntech bullet. It's their version of the powder coated bullet, and as you know, I do a lot of powder coating of bullets. I find that it's a wonderful way to jacket the bullet, something that we can just do at home and make it real nice, accurate bullets. And so Federal Premium, in about a year ago now, I think it's finally catching up in the market. We're getting a supply of them where you can buy them, but here they are. Federal Premium, the Syntech bullets. They're beautifully done, and if you want to see a little bit about that part of it, you can watch my other video on it. But today, what we're going to do is, there's so much interest in my mind, and there's also a lot of interest in you guys' mind. But so what I done was, first thing I done was I soaked this bullet in acetone. Okay, so that's what it looks like with no. That's what it looks like with no paint on it, no powder coating on it. That's the bullet right there. All right. So the first thing I'll do for you is we'll weigh it. This bullet weighs 115.7, okay? 115 grains, 115 and a half grains. So without the powder coating on it, it's 113.7. So 2 grains of powder coat or paint on the bullet. So I was hoping that I could get this bullet to come out clean, which I did. So then what I wanted to do is, just like you guys want to know, well, how thick is it? Because this is the bullet. Let me make sure I'm zeroed out here. That's the bullet right there. Alright. 0.355.5, and they're pretty consistent right there. 355. That one says 355.5. 355.5. We're pretty consistently 355.5. So now, after you take the coating off of there, now this is the part right here. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you where I recreate the bullet in the diameter without the powder coat on it, and then I start putting layers of powder coating on it to build it up to try to make something like they made. Because as far as I can tell, most of us would agree that if Federal Premium is making a powder coated bullet, it would do us well maybe to pay attention to what they've done. With all the research and development that they do, why is it that this bullet, it's not really 1 over, is it? It's not 1,000th over bore diameter. It's maybe a half, you could say, 355.5, and that's consistent. And obviously, calipers are, could be out, but let's go ahead and just check it. Alright, well, this was the one I needed to put a battery in, I guess. Yeah. That's why it was sitting over there. Anyway, 355.5. Now here's this one. This is without the coating on it. 346.5. Alright. 346.5. Can you believe it? So 0.010 of an inch almost is in coating on this bullet. So so I was like, wow, well, how am I going to size it down to 346? How am I going to size this down to 346.5? So what I done was I come up with I had some old 380 dies. This one, I think it's either the sizing die or the bullet seating die. And what I done is I took a piece of 9mm brass. Alright, and we know that 9mm brass, or any kind of brass, it starts thin and gets thicker and thicker and thicker as it goes down. So what I done was I cut it, you know, I've just kind of measured it out with my calipers here, and tried to find, you know, the best place to cut it. You know, as you come out of the case, it gets larger, and I used a fired piece of brass so that it be expanded already. And then what I done was is I went ahead and just cut it off and tapped it in here and flared the bottom of it and hit it with a ball peen hammer to get this nice flare, you know, wrapped around the bottom of the die. And then I just took a piece of sandpaper and rolled it up and turned it in there and zipping it in and out, and just kept measuring it, which didn't take very long, believe it or not. It was pretty easy. Pretty easy once you get the process down and screw up a couple of times. But it was pretty easy to actually get, you know, this measurement. So this is 345 is what this ends up being instead of 346. But I'm like, here's 3-4. Let's go up here. No. That's the 3. There it is right there. I guess it just depends on where you're holding it in here. The only thing I can show you is this is the bullet that I sized it with. Oh, wrong one. .345 is what it come out to, running it through that sizer, and you can see probably it'll come up 346 probably somewhere here. Yeah, there. Yeah, 345.5. Alright, so that's the homemade sizer right there, and it worked pretty good. Now you're probably asking, you know, what's all this crap all over it? I don't blame you for asking. Good Lord. I guess I should tell you these things. That's just a piece of sticky note. What it is threads inside of this die, and as you're sizing the bullets, they get caught on the threads and it skins the bullet. So I just put a tube of paper in there and taped it in there. That's all I did. So that's all that is, just so they come out the top real nice and smooth without hanging up. And the same thing on this one. This is a bullet seating die for a 380 or a sizing die. I can't remember which one, but I did the same thing to that. I put a piece of brass in there, alright, and rolled it over and sanded it down. And what I done with this one is I decided to do another test. So so if the layers of powder coat don't work so well, then I'll make one, I'll size one to 351, and then powder coat it, and then size it back down to 356 with our 356 sizer. So that's how I done that. Just made some sizers up, because there's no such thing as these numbers. And it worked surprisingly well. I feel like I could do that with a lot of things now. So, I mean, I know a bunch of you guys have probably tried to make a sizer or been successful at making a sizing die of some sort. But there it is. And so here's what we got. The most surprising thing for me was, I was like, my goodness. So this is, this looking from the inside, of this bullet, and trying to figure out what they done and how it works. So then what I done was I took I sized these, and so first thing I done was I took our bullets that we shoot, our 124 grain or 125 grain tumble-lube bullet, and I got those, and I went ahead and just run them through the sizer to bring the size down, because I knew I was gonna be smashing the mess out of these bullets. So I kept bringing them down, 356, and then what I done is I sized it. I done 2 bullets. This one, because as you know in my last video about the Syntech bullet, that these bullets were 18 or 19 BHN. Alright, so what I done was I made up a bullet that was 15 BHN, and then I made up another bullet that was 20 BHN. And I just thought I'd try them both, but I done them a little bit differently, and it'll all make sense to you in a minute. I started out by sizing it to 356, and then I sized it to 351. That was the original reason I made this larger die, so that I can bring the bullet down so that I could size it again. So I sized it to 351 and then 345, and then I added 3 coats of powder coat to it, and then I sized it to 356. All right, with our 356 sizing die, and that's what I did with these. So we got 15 BHN to 356.5. 356. Alright, so this is what the bullet looks like after sizing the mess out of it and coating the mess out of it. Just let you take a look. I just picked one at random. You can still see the tumble lube grooves in it. That's what the bullet looks like. It was sized all the way down and then brought back out, with the powder coat. And I used the powder coat, one of my mixes that I like the best. It don't stick too much and all that. So that's the color of that. So then, what I done was on the 20 BHN, I did a little differently, because I seemed to be struggling, with the other bullet. So I just thought, okay, I'll do it a little bit differently, and the results that bear out will determine whether I take this to the next level, go further with it, do more, and that kind of thing. So then I took the bullet and I sized it to 356 again, and then I sized it to 351 instead of 345. And then I added 2 coats of powder coat to it, and then sized it to 356. So this one is the 20 BHN, and as many of you know, the harder bullets. There's a little scar on it there. That's okay. As many of you know, and you can see a little bit of a ridge here, which reminds me, the next thing that you guys are probably screaming at me about that are interested in this kind of thing is, what RAM did you use to run it up through the sizer? Good question, because the one for your 356 won't work in these. I've tried it. So the closest thing that I had to it and it worked, so I didn't have to recreate something, make something up, is the 311 is what I used. And what reminded me is you can kind of see the ridge on the bottom of this bullet where it kind of left, a little ridge here where the ram pushed it up through the sizer. So that was that. So then, and then what I done was, I was wanting to know. I'm like, okay, well, let's. We weighed this bullet already, and it came out to. And it came out to 113.7, right? So I'm like, well, did they use a plug from a jacketed bullet and just left the jacket off of it and then powder coated it? Did they do that? So I was interested, and I thought I'd pass that information along. So what I done was I took a jacketed bullet, and just a jacketed bullet. It's dark because I torched it to melt the lead out of it. And then I cut the bottom off right here with a Dremel, and then just smoothed it out in there and deburred it, and then I measured this case. I'm like, okay, and it looks like it's around the 280.280. So it's not the same size as the bullet without the powder coat on it. At 348, or hold that right, 346.5. It's not the same size. So they didn't just use the same thing, right? This is obviously, the jacket is thicker than the powder coat. So then I wanted to know, what is the weight of the lead? So I took the lead that melted out, and I'm like, well, let's just weigh the lead that come out, see if it's the same size, same weight as this. And it's not. 92.3 grains of lead inside that jacket. So then what I done was, what else did I want to show you? Alright, well, now let's just get to the goodies here of what testing bared out. Now you kind of seen what I went through, a bunch of stuff to try to figure out, how they made this bullet and what they did to it to be successful with, this thick powder coat. Obviously, we know from my last video, and the powder coat is quite different from the powder coat that we use, because the powder coat, I don't know if it's because it's thicker, because it's obviously a different blend of powder coating, whether it's a polyester, a synthetic of some sort, polymer, latex, whatever it is, the paint, the powder coat they're using is different. We know that because it chips off, and we've seen, pieces of it. I have a piece right here. This is a piece of their coating, and it tends to maybe break more than our stuff does, our powder coat that we're using. You know, that's it right there. Anyway, so then I shot some of this stuff, obviously, you know, and I went ahead and used I went ahead and loaded some up with Universal. It's just it's a powder that shows up a lot and all of the data and that kind of thing. You know, some of the best loads show up with Universal according to some of the data and that kind of thing. So so I thought I would just go ahead and make up some loads with Universal. So I did, and here's what I come up with. I shot. I got a little stack of paper here. Now this the part you're waiting for. You know, enough of the blah blah, and so here was my BHN 15. Now I have them. You look at that. I mean, that's just awful, isn't it? So these are the ones with the same information: 356 to 351 to 345, 3 coats and size to .356. It's a BHN 15, and these were shooting at 1100 feet per second. All right. So that was these were the ones that I brought all the way down to .345 and then built back up with powder coat. And we'll look at that again. .356. All right. So I mean that's what we're, you know, it's sized down, you know. So there's what we got. So now I'm like, these things were all over the place. This was from about 15 yards. All right. And you know, that's a distance. I mean, you can see they just keyholed all over the place. They were not, you know, holding to the rifling, you know, at 6-inch group, you know, at a 6-inch group from that distance, and they were just keyholing all over the place. That kind of surprised me, to be honest with you, because I figured it looked like I had 1 or 2 decent shots. By the way, this is 10 shots. It looked like 1 or 2 decent shots. I'm not sure. You know, I mean, you could say, you know, the barrel heated up and that's why it did it. Was it the first bullet, the second? As a matter of fact, the first bullet was, I think, this big old hole right here, if I remember right. So thinking that it was the first and the second bullet and those shot fine, the rest didn't, is wrong thinking. The first bullet, I remember, it was, I think it might have been this shot. I was like, my eyes were wide open when I seen that. Alright, so there you go. Now, the second group that I did was with the 20 BHN. The 20 BHN. Size to 356 and then down to 351 and then powder coated with 2 coats of powder coat to bring them up to where I can size them at 356. And so then I sized it to 356. There you go. And then what I done, so that's terrible. And there's the you know, I mean, that's another, it's a 6-inch group again. That's what it is. You know, it looks like these were a little bit better, and we know that the harder lead, like the 20 BHN, they tend to spring back better, for one thing. And the second part of the evidence is we didn't size them down to 345, just 351, and then brought them back up and sized it 356. Still no good. So then what I done was I went ahead and took these bullets that I normally shoot, powder coat, and I loaded them up with the same. Now the whole time I'm using the same load. I'm using 4.2 grains of universal with about a 1.130 overall length. Okay, universal. And this was my group with those. So this is from about 15 yards, and that looks like you know, just a little bit over 2.5, a little bit over 2.5 inches right there. But see, that's 10 shots again. All of these are 10 shots, and I do my little lollipop, and these were traveling at 1140 feet per second, 4.2 grains. With that's it. I mean, I was like, you know, and all of these groups that I'm shooting, I'm not, you know, this is just freehanding, okay? Just freehanding, standing up. You know, I'm not trying to, you know, laser beam it. I just want to see if I can get a decent group in a decent amount of time, you know. Maybe one of these days we'll do something like that where we do like the best out of 5 targets or something, you know, and try to shoot, you know, laser accurate and that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't usually do stuff like that usually, but I do practice on my grouping, of course. But that's a good group for me at 15 yards, and then and all of the bullets look good, all of the holes look good. So then I did the same thing with the Syntech bullet. 10. These are this 10 bullets. So a couple of the bullets went into the same hole, and so did they over here, I guess. Or no, good group though. So, and here's the Syntech at 1160 feet per second. You know, again, a beautiful group with their bullet, and under 2.5 inches. My bullets was over 2.5 inches. This was under 2.5 inches. So then for kicks and giggles, so I mean their bullet is working. You know, at you know, whatever they're using is working. And one of the other reasons I thought to bring this up, because I believe that some people are under the mindset and the thought to reduce the size of the bullet with their mold and then build them up, and more than likely though they're reducing the mold by just a little bit, and that's probably going to be the next practical test. Probably is to just size it down a little bit more and not a lot more, and then build it up that way. But Syntech did a good job, you know, and this is all out of a factory Glock barrel, by the way. Glock 19 factory Glock barrel. That's what that's from. And then just for kicks and giggles, I went ahead and loaded up some and shot a little bit more carefully with my bullets, just because I was kind of impressed with the load that this powder gave me, you know, from shooting those 2 groups with the Syntech and my Lee 9mm bullets. So then I loaded up 10 more rounds and shot, and this is I think I extended the overall length to about 1.145 on this one when I loaded these, and I'm just showing you just for kicks and giggles with the universal powder. That was 10 shots, and you don't see 10 holes, and the bullets were actually going through. I mean, I don't even know if I can make out 10 here. I can make out about 8, but believe me, matter of fact, that was my first shot, was dead in the center there. So, you know, anyway, you know, this is mainly just about, you know, just showing you the powder load, the load here. So what I done is I'm gonna log that one down for a good load, and I can probably tweak this a little bit by playing with the overall length and maybe a 1/10 of a grain, something like that here, and up and back, that kind of thing. But that's as good as I can shoot any day, so maybe I'm just showing off, but but anyway, I just wanted I just wanted to kind of deconstruct this bullet and kind of re-engineer it to come to some conclusion, because one thing we can't deny that Federal, they're a great company, been around for many years, and they know what they're doing. And if they're making a powder coated bullet, and the only thing obviously that they're doing different for sure is this isn't a cast bullet. This is a pressed bullet. They press this hydraulically. They make that bullet, so it's a little different. So but it would be kind of nice to kind of replicate the powder that they're using for their bullet. But as you can see here, this is the bottom of one of their bullets right here, and you can kind of peel it off of there or chip it off. See, it's chipping off. So, but it's thick. It's on there thick. YouTube, that's about it. I just wanted to do a kind of a reverse engineering of this bullet and see if I can recreate something to come close. Obviously I did not, but I wanted to show you what I had done, because a lot of times, well, all the time, you guys always have something to say that is very helpful in maybe going about this from another angle and maybe doing something a little different. Any suggestions that you have, would be great. But, other than just trying different types of coatings, to try to replicate what they've used there. YouTube, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.